The GX130C might be one of, if not the most misunderstood amp among metalheads, many claiming it to be godlike in its tone, all the way to others claiming that Crate can't make a good amp to save the company, while most of us look at this amp as a budget version of the Ampeg VH140C. A good portion of us have owned a Crate amplifier at one point, and if that's you, let me know in the comments, but what is it about this amp that compels us to seek them out, driving them to absolutely ludicrous prices in the last few years? What's up everyone, my name is Taylor, and if you are a fan of old school 90s death metal like me, then you have likely come across these amps' lore, most likely in the form of some internet dude claiming that he saw Cannibal Corpse using them back in the day. The Cannibal Corpse connection is an interesting one because while trying to validate this, I came across a few interesting pieces of information. One, I did come across at least one video where you can see Jack from Cannibal Corpse playing what appeared to be a GX130C full stack, but with the quality being what it is, it's impossible to say for sure if it's the same amp or he's using pedals in front of it. I mean, he could be rocking a Metal Zone here for all we know. The other thing I came across in a few different forums is it seems to be agreed upon that they use this amp on The Bleeding. Well, when I tried to find studio footage from The Bleeding sessions, I came across this. Yes, that appears to be a Marshall valve state, which were also popular at the same time. So it's really hard to say what exactly they were using when, and which albums had what amps. If you know or have any links to substantiate any of this, as always, please leave them in the comments below. I really appreciate all of you guys that take the time to comment, especially when it comes to like these older amplifiers and trying to get information on them. Regardless of whether or not Cannibal Corpse used these amps, I thought it would be pretty fun to get a few of these and try them out for myself, since I was one of those kids who started on one of those little Crate combo amps. So this is pretty nostalgic for me. So let's plug in and rip on these amplifiers, and then we'll talk about whether or not you should spend all of your free time trying to track one down. But before we can do that, I need to talk about today's sponsor. Today's sponsor, 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗏, wants to give you all the essentials for recording guitar for free. This includes a PRS SE, an SSL2 Plus audio interface, and a copy of 𝗦𝗏𝗘𝗏 Premium, the ultimate guitar effects suite that really has a limitless amount of possibilities in terms of tones you can create without needing a warehouse full of amps and cabinets. You can actually hear it in action in my 𝗦𝗏𝗏5150 shootout, link in the description. All of this together makes for a sweet package for not only your guitar playing bedroom recording aficionado, but for producers as well. And who doesn't want a new guitar in their collection? This package has a retail value of around $1,400, so this is a really great opportunity for one of you lucky viewers to get in and win some really great gear and start making your songs come to life. All you need to do to enter is click the link below for instructions. Multiple entries are possible and do increase your chances of winning. Entries include things like visiting their social media platforms, which while you're there you might as well give them a follow, submitting your email, and my personal favorite option, just telling your friends about this awesome contest. All participants must be at least 18 years of age and US residents. What's up everybody, I'm here plugged into my Crate G130C XL, and you're probably thinking to yourself, wait a second, that is not a Crate GX130C. I just wanted to test out this older one that I actually bought used. I found this on Craigslist for like 75 bucks. I just wanted to test this out against the Crate GX130C because I think they're essentially the same exact amplifier. The front panel is the same. Pretty much everything on the amplifier is exactly the same. They're just aesthetically a little bit different. If you have any information on that or Crate amplifiers in general, please let me know down in the comments below or email me. I am looking for any information I can find on Crate as a company. It's really hard to find information on them. We're on the lead channel. I have everything at noon, and this is what it sounds like.
sounds pretty good already, but let's try and dial this thing in. And I say try because this amplifier is nearly 30 years old. I don't know the last time it was serviced. I haven't had it serviced yet. And these older amplifiers, specifically crates, can be a little bit fickle. We could deal with like volume drops and all sorts of weird things that can happen. So just bear with me here. We're gonna try and make it through this video without any issues. Let's try and dial this in. Iconic tone, pretty 90s death metal. It really reminds me a lot of those Florida bands from the 90s, a lot like that earlier Cannibal Corpse stuff. And I'm gonna say it right here, I said this before in the Ampeg video that I made, but I think a lot of that tone being associated with those 90s death metal bands was more of those bands using these amplifiers because they were inexpensive and they were the best sounding amplifiers that they could afford, versus them seeking these amplifiers out because of their tone, if that makes sense. So the tone has become iconic. Those bands made these amplifiers very popular, not the other way around. And another thing that I see that is a misconception is people always say that this amplifier and the Ampeg VH140C are the same amplifier. They're definitely not the same amplifier. They are similar, especially in their control layouts, but I think tonally, and especially the way that the mid control works on this amplifier versus the VH140C is just a little bit different. Like if I turn this all the way to the left, I get a very mid-focused tone. Whereas on the Ampeg VH140C, if you turn the mid control all the way up, that actually mostly neutralizes your mids. Anything below that is scooping your mids. And with the Crate 130C, if you turn the mid control all the way up, that scoops your mids. I find that I like it somewhere right around noon. Yeah. You can see on my dB meter back there, we're not super loud. And one of the things that really any solid state amp, but these solid state amps in specific get criticized for is their lack of ability to operate at louder volumes. And that is true with a lot of solid state amplifiers. You turn them up and they get really like muddy and broken up and shitty sounding. So let's turn this up to like band practice levels, see how it sounds. I actually feel like it sounds better at louder volumes. And you can see I have the volume up halfway. Now, one thing to remember with that is that this amplifier is 130 watts, but that is actually split stereo, so it's 65 watts per side. I'm only using one side, 165 watt channel right now, so take that into consideration. But we're about half volume, and it's pretty loud. Probably about as loud as I would play it at rehearsal with the drummer, and I think it actually sounds better at this volume. I think it actually fills out a little bit, oddly. Something you usually associate with tube amplifiers, not solid state amplifiers, but you know, that could just be my perception too. Who knows what's going on? And I also feel like at the louder volume, it feels a little bit better, like it's a little bit spongier. And I mean feel in terms of the way that it's reacting when I strum my guitar. It's like a little bit spongier. Not how it physically feels, because this carpeted cabinet physically feels kind of gross. Kind of feels like the carpet in a band practice space that has had too many bongs spilt in it. For shits and giggles, I'm gonna go over to the clean channel here, and I'm not gonna bother diving into the clean channel too much, but let's set this up. I have the gain all the way up, and you know, it just has this like really kind of crunchy sound. Like I said, not really, you know, the greatest tone in the world. I just think it's kind of interesting. I don't know that I would use it, but it's usable, it's there, it's cool. Let's stick with the lead channel though. It's a channel everyone likes. Okay, here's the GX130C. This is a combo amp. I'm gonna bypass the combo-ness of this amplifier. We're gonna plug it directly into the 4x12. Everything else is the same. I gotta plug into it. It's not gonna work if I don't plug the guitar into it, huh? Okay, so the same thing. We're gonna start off with everything at noon. Okay, so to me, and I'm trying to be as objective as possible about this, but remember, I'm just sitting in a room with a cabinet pointed at you guys. A little bit hard to be truly analytic, but they sound almost identical. I don't really notice any difference at all. And like I said, the front panel, although this is like backwards with it being a combo amplifier, is essentially exactly the same. I like this tone just as much. Let's turn this up a little bit and see what it does to the tone. Kind of has the same thing going on there a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit more prevalent with the head. But again, you know, at noon, and don't take my word for it, you can look at the dB meter up there on the wall. You know, we are getting a lot of volume, and the tone still sounds just as good. Maybe even a little bit better. And again, just like with the head, we're getting all of that 90s death metal goodness out of this thing. I really, really enjoy these amplifiers a lot. I think they're really cool. I think they're definitely underappreciated. What's up, guys? I'm back. While I was producing this video, I happened to find this guy here for $180. They're still out there. You can still find them. But anyways, I found this half stack. So this is the Crate GX130C with the matching cabinet. Now this cabinet has Celestion G12S50s in it. This is what it sounds like on the red channel with everything at noon. pretty similar to the combo in my opinion. Of course, I'm playing through a different cabinet, so it's a little bit different. But I wanted to play it through this cabinet because if you saw in the clip at the beginning of this video, Jack from Cannibal Corpse playing what appeared to be a GX130C full stack with the matching cabinets. So let's do the Cannibal Corpse thing here. Let's dial this guy in a little bit. Now, of course, according to that video clip, it's impossible to say if there were other pedals or anything going on in here. I have a noise gate in front of this amp. That's all that's going on. This is just the sound directly from the amp and the cabinet. Play around with it a little bit. One of the things about these amps is that shape control scoops the mids, and I probably like to play with a little bit more mids than 90s era Cannibal Corpse. Let's scoop it a little bit and try that. Who am I kidding? Cannibal Corpse would definitely be playing with the gain all the way up. That is a little bit too scoop for me, but it sounds pretty 90s death metal if I'm being honest with you guys. And another thing I wanted to point out, for what it's worth, this cabinet actually sounds really good with this amplifier. I'll definitely try it with some other amps in the future, but you do see these cabs pop up from time to time for really, really cheap, so might be worth grabbing if you like this sort of tone. And the model number on this crate cab is GS412RS, for those of you who are wondering. And in the future, I do want to do a big shootout video in between this amplifier, the Ampeg VH140C, and the Marshall 8100 to find out which is the superior old school death metal tone. But I do want to throw a tube screamer in front of this guy real quick. A lot of you were asking about that when I posted the pictures of this amplifier. So let's do that. Back off this gain here a little bit. We'll do that at about noon. So the drive is all the way down, the level is all the way up, and the tone is at noon on that tube screamer. Here's what it sounds like. Definitely added some bite, took away a little bit of the low end, but really did tighten up the low end in a way that's pleasing to the ear. My ear, at least.
Okay, so after playing these amps for a while, I can say these are cool amps for a few reasons, and probably not what you would think. I think the biggest reason for me is just the nostalgia. Maybe you grew up in the same era, but that crate logo with the white piping on the face and the 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗏 mixing console type knobs really just does something for me. In terms of tone, they're also pretty great. Way better than I remember my little crate combo amp being. While I do feel that they're a little bit flat and lifeless compared to other amps, it really doesn't bother me that much, but I find myself enjoying playing it. But there's a pretty big downside. Most, if not all, the crate amps that I've owned have had weird issues. Everything from the amp switching channels on its own to significant volume drops. While I found that a lot of these issues can be corrected with a good can of contact cleaner, it is worth noting if you were looking to add one of these to your collection. The other thing that I'm going to mention, and it is super weird, is I've taken apart two of these mid to late 90s crate GX amps and both had weird stuff inside. And not weird stuff like you might expect, like a hack solder job or electrical tape holding wires together. These had a whistle and what appears to be shredded pet bedding and someone's keyring. I know, I can't explain it either. Maybe Crate's builders in the late 90s became disgruntled and started playing practical jokes on the amp's owners, or maybe people that like to buy these things are just weirdos. If you've ever had an experience like that, please let me know, because this is something I'm legitimately losing sleep over. All right, guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Help me out by doing the things that every other YouTuber asks you to do also, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.